worry about the thing. Don't you worry about the thing, Mama.
You imagined to capture the opening title song perfectly. Very upbeat song choice for this grim of a show.
Yeah, and definitely nothing to worry about with the thing, right? Just perfectly
No.
friendly little parasite.
Yeah, anytime you see a big dog come up to you being all friendly, give it a good pat. You'll be fine.
Hey, welcome to Drawing Conclusions. I'm Jessica.
I'm Josh.
And today we're talking about The Thing.
Yes, 1982 masterpiece by John Carpenter. Some people might not think that, but they're jerks.
Well, I have no frame of reference for whether or not it's a masterpiece because it will come as no surprise to anyone who's ever watched any of our previous videos. I've never seen The Thing. I am a big scaredy cat. That's what this girl is here.
That's true. You generally give the horror / scary movies, kind of stuff that we do a miss. A big pass.
No, thank you.
No.
So I've never seen it. So my entire contribution to this video was that intro music.
Well done. There's the door. Anyway.
But this is part of our Halloween Movies We Love series, which really has mostly been Halloween movies that Josh loves. Series, because Josh loves scary stuff a lot more than I do.
I do.
And
like
before we get
movies.
into The Thing, just a reminder to subscribe, hit the notification bell, check us out on Patreon.
Leave a comment,
Yes.
do some sharing,
Yes.
all that stuff.
Okay, all that good stuff that you should do. All right, Josh, tell me what you love about The Thing. Why is this one of your favorite Halloween movies?
First and foremost, the performance, the cast is great. Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, Keith David, and the rest of the guys that are in this show is really a fantastic job. I mean, each one of these guys give a nuanced performance. They all feel like real people doing their real jobs out on this frozen wasteland of a base in Antarctica. I mean, they feels like it's actually happening a lot of times. I mean, it's really great. I love the cast. Kurt Russell's performance as R.J. McCready is one of my favorites in a horror / monster movie. I think he's really great, and he really carries this movie well. I really like the cinematography. John Carpenter and whoever his director of photography was at the time. I don't know if he shot this one himself or used someone else, whatever. It just really created this sense of claustrophobia, and just the angles they used. It just kind of created tension. I mean, just thinking back on some of the stuff that they used, I was just like, ooh. Gives me chills. It's like it makes you it kind of pulls you into that whole paranoia of that the show sets up with the cast and the characters not knowing who's what.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. Also, I really like the dialogue and the writing between the characters. I mean, the story's a little straightforward. Guys find frozen monster and it comes back.
Right. So this is based off of a short story, right?
Yeah, Campbell's. Who Goes There from I think back in the late 30s.
Yeah.
Early 40s.
And this is the second time that short story was turned into
adapted
a movie. The first one being from 1950?
Something like that. Post World War II, right in the height of the whole communist era. Howard Hawks did that one.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, so the movie is about an allegory, right, for the communist threat.
The story definitely
the original
was.
Short
the original story was.
But interestingly enough, the movie that was made back in the black and white, 1950 era or whatever.
Howard Hawks version.
When communism was this really big, major
really big deal.
thing, right, going on in the nation, completely just changed the story in such a big way that it didn't really have anything to do with that aspect of of what Joseph Campbell? Anyway, Campbell.
I think it's John Campbell.
John Campbell was getting to, not Joseph Campbell, somebody else. He was getting to in the short story. So
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, this movie, John Carpenter's version of The Thing, came out in 1982, and the old one, I don't. In this one, John Carpenter's version is much more faithful with the way the creature acts. It's a shapeshifter, an identity thief in the original short story. Hence, Who Goes There?
Right.
Where I don't think they could do it budget-wise in the original, or in the old one.
And probably special effects-wise.
Yeah, special effects, they couldn't pull it off.
Forget the budget, just how would you do that back then?
Right, they just didn't have the technology.
We don't have the technology.
Absolutely. We don't have the power to do this. So yeah, but it was very much an allegory of communism and, and those kinds of things. And this one, John Carpenter's version, again came out in 1982, like right before the AIDS scare, and some people kind of interpret it as like an AIDS paranoia kind of movie, but that was not true because that whole thing didn't happen until a few years later in the 80s. It was more widespread. So those of you who think that, I'm very sorry. Anyway, other things I like about this show, the visual effects. Rob Bottin, or Bottin, I've heard it both ways. He also did The Howling, but he did the special effects in this, and just like, geez, for practical effects that are so old, I mean, man, it just rivals everything else. I mean, it's so gross and awesome. You just can't beat it. I mean, guys' heads coming off and growing spider legs. Geez, this guy's chest cavity opening up and turning into a mouth. I mean, the whole dog scene just by itself was like, good grief. I mean, it looks so crazy and so real. A lot of times, I mean, it's so good, and the way that they filmed the stuff and lit the animatronics and stuff, it's fantastic, super great. Also, the music, I really like the music, and even at times the lack of music. And I know, like, those of you who listen to our channel a lot know that I'm a kind of a stickler for a good score and soundtrack. And this one, like, when it does use music, it does build tension. I mean, it doesn't rise to like a crescendo of like big music for like the big payoff at the end of the movie. In fact, I think for most of that sequence, it's pretty silent, and it's just sound effects and like ambient noise throughout the set. And that, to me, is one of the scariest things about this show, is that you're just left with sound, and like all things are quiet, and you just kind of hear noises. And I think that is fantastic. I wish more movies today in the horror genre would take a page from John Carpenter's book and using that kind of score makeup, handling it that way, kind of a less is more approach. Because I think, for me personally, that works. I mean, that having just raw sound a lot of times is very nerve-wracking.
So Josh, you recommend The Thing if somebody likes horror movies, The Thing is something they should watch, right? If they haven't seen it before.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this already, then yeah, you should go watch it if you're a fan of horror movies and thrillers. And the tension and claustrophobia that this movie builds with this group of researchers and scientists stuck out on this station, where they can't get away. I mean, with this grody, creepy monster that takes people over. It's a great Halloween movie.
Yeah. And if you like gross stuff, then you'll love this picture that Josh did to go with our review.
Yes. Again, if you've seen this movie, then you get this. It kind of a take on what happens to one of the guys in the movie. Not totally, but just like kind of me taking license with that. This would be the character Bennings. And so he gets absorbed, but they catch him before the thing finishes its job on him, and they burn him. So yeah, I did this with watercolor and a bit of colored pencil and white opaque gouache paint. And
it's gross.
Yes, it is. I know, it's glorious
and
grossness.
I basically blame The Thing for your kind of obsession with drawing monsters who have all kinds of stuff coming out of their mouths, because you do that a lot.
I do.
Here's a bunch of stuff coming out of my face.
Well, between this and this movie and Alien, then yes. Things coming out of faces and all that stuff. Yep.
Ew.
Oh, one more thing that I like about this movie. The original poster art by the great Drew Struzan. I love this poster.
Yeah.
It's one of my all-time favorites. So.
Right. And the story of him doing that poster is kind of a cool
Yeah, if you're able to
story.
Find that documentary about Drew Struzan, the man behind the poster, I definitely recommend that too. But for this video, I am recommending The Thing by John Carpenter from 1982, starring Kurt Russell and a bunch of other dudes stuck in the snow.
All right, that's it. Thanks for joining us for another Halloween movie that we, a.k.a. Josh, loves. Loves.
Loves.
Anyway.
Present tense.
That's not the question. Anyway. So, love and loves are both present.
I did wrong. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Talk to you next time.
Bye.